So yeah, so let's thank you Level Up and thank you guys for like stopping by and check out my sharing. So I hope you guys love trailers, I believe, right? Okay, so we are Glow Production. Okay, so the question normally I get from many people, there's like, okay, who are you guys? Never heard of you guys before, and what do you do? So a brief introduction, like for Glow Productions. Okay, we are based in PJ, Malaysian. Okay, and we specialize in cinematics, a little bit of game art, and we do the full range service for game trailers. And we do have motion capture in our studios, and we have a bunch of great teammates. And yeah, that's Glow. So some of you might have heard of us. Maybe next slide. Okay. So this is us. So we have nearly 40 people, and we have 4 sweet cats in our studios. So they are playing a very important role by guarding our offices during weekends and nights, catching the cockroaches and lizards. So and entertain our staff. That's the most important thing. And we have a pretty happy culture, I would say, in our studios. So they can bring along whatever pets they want. You can see that we have snakes. Sometimes we have spiders, anything. So it's like a petting zoo sometimes. So yeah, that's our team. And this is the classic one. Yeah. So what do we do? So on the left, you can see that there are some 3D assets, game arts, and conceptual design that we work for some clients. And some of you might recognize that lady. Some might on the left. That's the last tree. Okay, that's one of our own content we made back in 3 years ago, I think. Yeah. So feel free to check it out on our website. So and here you can see that those are the cinematics that we worked on. Yeah, these are just some of the works that we can disclose at the moment. Yeah. So move on. Okay, I'm gonna talk about 2 trailers that we made for Pocket Game Soft. So they are the game developer, and we had the privilege to just try out our stylized semi-realistic kind of trailers for them. So in case you haven't seen it, I'm just gonna play the video for one of the trailer.
Show yourself!
You'll make a fine statue.
Yep, that's Medusa 1 that we made. So a big shout out to the sound studios in Malaysia that produce the amazing sound and music. There are the Alchemy Studio. You guys can check out them. They did a great job for us. We have been working together for a couple of projects right now. So, yep. So how did we make that a brief, really simple workflow overview? So as usual, we started up with a storyboard and design. Sometimes we got it from the client, sometimes not. Sometimes we have to propose. And yeah, the client does come with us with some design sometimes. Maybe assets, maybe not. So we have to propose that in the earlier pre-production stage. Then we move on to modeling, rigging, and at the same time we'll do some blocking like previous 3D animatics. Then we start doing the video recording, animation. If there is a requirement for mocap, we'll do that as well, and sound design after that. So I will show you guys each step later on. Okay. So VFX and lighting, compositing, and final. Okay. So this is a pretty common workflow. Okay. So storyboard. This is the storyboard for one of the trailer. We propose everything actually. We propose the storyline, how we're gonna present the trailer for them. But of course, we have to check what kind of game they are selling. Is it casual? Is it hardcore or something? So we have to come up with something specially for them. So this is the storyboard, and this is the color key. Color key is something like a storyboard with color. The purpose of a color key or color script is for the client to have a earlier look at how the cinematic is gonna look like at the end of the day. So it could save us lots of time if we lock this down at this very early stage. Yeah. Otherwise, there will be like disaster. So it's a very important process for color key. Then this is another storyboard for another board, and this is another color key or color script for another one. So it's color key is fairly simple. It's a concept art, but with a simpler approach. Okay, we just have to get it done within 3 days or 4 days. Yep. So next we move to modeling. So this is the model for Medusa. Yeah, and the game looks a bit stylized, so we have to create something stylized for them. Yeah, and in fact, we actually made two versions of Medusa. One is before she turned. One is this monster version. So this is Perseus. Are you guys familiar with the story from Medusa and Perseus, like mythological story? Okay, so we are a big fan, so we enjoyed it. And then we move on to rigging. Rigging is something more technical. It's like putting bones in your character. Then you start animating. So the rigging, we have a very short clip. It's pretty simple, straightforward. Yeah, that's a short one. Okay, so that's rigging. So next we will move on to animation. So animation referencing is very important. We have to shoot reference, which you will see later on. That's one of our animator, right? And then we move on to the next stage would be blocking, and then the refine animation, and we do lip sync. And I don't think we have motion capture for this one. Just for the facial, we did a facial capture for this. So this is this what motion capture looks like. So we have it in our studios, and some of our animators really enjoying doing weird stuff with that. So we have lots of props, weapons, shields, anything, you name it, just to test it out, right? And this is the process of animating. He's gonna hate me after this.
You'll make a fine statue.
Yeah, they have no idea I put them on here. Okay. So, okay, next we move on to voiceover and facial capture. So we have a very talented voiceover actress, very pretty as well. Okay, so she helped us to do the voiceover from Medusa, and another guy, but not this guy. I couldn't find the footage for that. So voiceover looks something like this.
Show yourself!
You'll make a fine statue.
Okay, so you see dots on their faces. Those are the marking. It will help us to capture a better details when we're doing the facial expression. Yeah. Okay, next cloth and hair simulation. So we have a warning here, like it contains nudity. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, this is a cloth and hair simulation. It's in grayscale, so it's alright. Yep, that's cloth and hair simulation. We are using a couple of different software to achieve that. It's not real time. Yeah. So next thing is I would say this is the final phase. Is like visual effects, one of the most important. It's like final touches to make everything looks good. So visual effects look something like this. So we combined real-time simulation and we did use some footages. So that's how some of the Hollywood studio did it. They used footages. This is simulation. Okay. Yeah. So they are very subtle but very important to cinematic trailers. So last but not least is lighting and compositing. Yep. Let's play it. So we rendered quite a lot of passes. Each passes has its own unique purpose. Yeah, that's a short one. Sorry. So lighting and compositing. Okay. So now we are gonna play the full cinematic breakdown. So some shots you might not have seen before. Okay. Yep, so that's the making of. Thank you. So I like to do things a bit different. So I want to ask you guys if you have any question regarding the process, like the workflow at this moment, because I'll be talking about something else later. Because we have plenty of time, I'm sure. Yeah. Any question regarding the workflow and the pipelines? Huh? Yeah, we'll talk about something else later. Just keep everybody like awake for a moment.
So segmented Q&A, we're going to stop at workflow and pipelines.
Yep.
So any questions for this part of the presentation? Yes, gentlemen, there's two gentlemen, one with a no cap.
So I want to ask about the reference. When did the reference video will be recorded during the pipeline?
Right. So we recorded our references right before we started the blocking animation. So I can just go back to the very beginning where you can see it right here. Okay, so blocking, like the previous, that's where we started recording our references. Because we do have another step before this, which is 2D animatics. But we didn't show it here. 2D animatics is basically a animated version for the storyboard. So right after that, we just jump straight for like practice on the acting and do some photo shooting and video like referencing. Yeah. Yep. Any more like? Yep.
So do you have people who work entirely from beginning to end, like for the animators, or do you have some people who like only do blocking and some people who will come into it and refine it for them, or yeah?
Right. Yes, for animators or modelers, they do everything from beginning to the end. So our animators will start like the lady and the guy with the specs that's doing all the acting. Those are actually the animators that did their own shots and finish up everything by themselves, including modeling. Our modelers, they do not only work on the modeling. Some of them actually worked on lighting and compositing, because there is a downtime for modeling right after we finish up all the models and approved by the clients. So they will move right straight into the lighting. So I would say they are kind of like multitasking. Yeah, it's a bit generalist like, but it's not. I mean, modelers do not have to know animation or rigging, but they might have to learn lighting and compositing and texture, of course. For animators, some of them they did have some interest in rigging, so they just learned that by themselves.
Any final questions for this part? If not, let's get on with the presentation.
Cool. So, okay, actually, the next part would be this. 1 second. Okay, challenges and issues. So you can see the perfect scenarios is on the left and the OMG scenario is on the right. So normally what the challenges we have is like, first off, ownership. So do we have ownership on the trailers that we created? Or sometimes it depends. So it's best scenario is that yes, we get to publish it on our website. We can do sharing with everyone. But sometimes not. So the client might say, nope, it's all mine. You can't have any credit on it. So that's just the reality of this industry. Yeah, it depends on which kind of client we work with as well. So we prefer working with the smaller clients. I mean, the developers like indie gamers, they have a really nice, but not too much budget, but they let us have the freedom, the ownership, everything to create stuff for them. So I'm not saying big clients is bad. It's just that they have some rules and regulation. Yeah. So the secondly, well, like artistic freedom, like I said, great scenarios like the Medusa, we get to propose the storyline, we get to refine their design, and yeah, that's fun. That's one of the reasons why we worked on cinematics. It's short and it's fun to work on, but it's very challenging at some point. So the opposite would like yeah, you have to copy 100% from this reference. Okay, that's not too fun, I would say. Yeah, for example, we love Clash of Clans. Please copy that. So okay, we will do it. So the third one would be like communication, teamwork. Because cinematics is something quite different from working on game assets or maybe TV series, I would say, because it has a shorter timeline, and everybody has very good discipline and time management for themselves. So everything is just so fast. Everything fast happening so fast and concurrently. So modeling, once the model is done, you have to pass it to rigger, and while rigger is doing the rigging, you have to start animating the previous, and then refine, update the rig. You have to do again, or if the rig doesn't work well, you might have to double work. You have to do your animation again and again. So the communication between rigger and modelers are very crucial. Yep. And after animation, we're like, okay, are you guys really done with this shot? Because we have to do simulation. Simulation is very time consuming, visual effects, hair, and all that. So if the client said that at the last minute, so I don't like the animation, can you change the story a bit here and there? So the simulation team will like, oh my God, we only have like 2 weeks left. So communication with the client, communication with the team is very important. So the worst scenario is like, nope, I didn't say that. That's the worst one. No matter coming out from where, if you're talking to a client, you did say this before this. No, I didn't say that. This is my new idea. That's the worst case. Yeah. So it leads to the next one, like the stick to the brief, the perfect scenario that's coming from the client. So some client, they are very creative in some way. They would like to change idea from here and there. Sometimes at the end of the production, they change the idea. So it's not a good scenario for us. So sufficient time. If you want to know like how much time we spend on one trailers, for example, 60 seconds trailers, it would take us around 3 to 4 months from start to the end. So 3 to 4 months, right? So some clients will say, sorry, I only have 1 month. Can you do that? So it sucks, right? So sometimes we have to do that because of the relationship we have with the client. They said, please help us, please. Okay, we'll work something out. But it's not gonna look nice, okay? But they always ask for the nicest one at the end of the day. So no matter how, that's a not so good scenario. Okay, the second final is a good taste for sound and music. So why we work with our local studios like Alchemy Studio on music? Because we always think that the client's music sense is a bit shitty. Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I'm not talking about the big clients out there. It's like some of them, they just, this is nice, but no, this is not nice. Let me show what is nice to you. So normally what I would do, like I will call up my sound guy, like, they said this is nice. Do you want to prove them wrong? Do you want to propose something else? So yeah, let's do it. At the end of the day, the client also, wow, this is nicer. Okay. So we got the trust from the client. And to prove that Malaysian can do great music and sounds, sometimes graphics as well. So yeah, that's a fun part, dealing with the clients on music and sound. So the last one would be like payment. Payment is a very realistic thing. Okay. So on-time payment is a perfect scenario. So the bad one would be like, the number you dial is not in service. That's the worst one. Okay. So payment. So you realize that most of our works is not local. Yeah, because we work with many of the Japanese game developers and some of the European. I'm not saying the locals' payment term is bad, but they are just better. The Japanese and the European, sometimes they are just better. Okay. So yeah, that wraps up my sharing. So if you guys have any other questions, just feel free to throw it to me.
All right, so there you go. Ryan Wong, CEO of Glow Productions. Thank you so much, Ryan. I'll just invite a few more questions if you have any. Anything about cinematic trailers?
Anything at all, yeah.
All right, okay.
Hi, my name is Najmi.
Hi.
Can you explain more about your sound design process?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So I have not much idea how the guy did it, but so normally VO is the first thing. So we during the animation stage, I would say almost 80% of the animation is done. No, sorry, it's right in the middle, like 50%. Once we have all the blocking done, the clients approve all the basic animation, we will ask the sound guy to, okay, we need VO, we need lines. Do you have any good talent that can talk like Medusa? Do you have any talent that speak very well English accents, that kind of stuff? So that's the first step. Then we booked a meeting with them and we did the sound recording. And the good thing about doing sound recording is in Malaysia is we can paint their face and get some reference for the facial animation. That really helps compared to the sound is coming to us from foreign countries where they have no idea what we're gonna do next. So once the VO is done recorded, we will just share it with the client, and we might have like 5 or 6 options for them. Like, okay, so which one do you like? We put it in our animation work in progress, and the client will come out. Okay, I like option A and C and so on. So after that, we confirm with the client. We just move on, and we will tell the client to stick on that VO. Okay, don't change the VO because it will be a big disaster for us because it involves all the facial animation that we are working on after that. Then, okay, once we're done with the VO, we just leave everything to the sound guy. So what we provided the sound guy was like, okay, this is the reference from the client. They like these trailers from somewhere else. They want this kind of feelings and atmosphere. Can you just do something better if you can? So things like that. Yeah, at the end of the day, we do not interfere with their process. We just leave everything to them. And I would say the most would be like twice of revisions, 2 times from us. And normally the client wouldn't say a thing because they did amazing sound and music. So yeah, that's the process.
All right, okay. We'll come to you later, okay? We have a lot of time.
There is lots of time.
Hi, my question is about ownership of the assets that's been developed. Like some clients, they are fine with this having the trailer, but some I want the art assets, and how do you deal with that? Like, because there's so many components, like the textures, the rig, the mocap, and stuff.
Right. It depends on the client. If we are working with a developer or indie developer, or let's say, normally they do not require those kind of assets from us. But if we are working with productions studios, if we are collaborating with someone overseas, so they might ask for the assets because they want to tweak it in the future. So we do have certain charges for that. If you want an asset, yeah, you have to pay for that. So that's the thing.
Hi, I just want to know, is the whole process made in Autodesk Maya, or is it like a mixture of, make assets in 3D Max and then import it to Maya?
Right, good question. It's a mixed media. We use Maya for most of the stuff. We do animation in Maya, modeling in ZBrush, Maya, Substance Painter. And for simulation, we are using something else called Marvelous Designer. And Queloff. I think I pronounced it right. Queloff. So it's a simulation software for cloth. And for hair, we are using Maya and what's the name? Yeti. Okay, Yeti is a very good simulation software for hair and fur. So compositing, we are using After Effects. So it's a mixture of different softwares. That's the fun thing about cinematics. You can play around. You have the freedom to explore what kind of software you're gonna use. And if you have more time, you can R&D on the software and you learn something new. Compared to just sticking to one software for like few years. Yeah, that's the freedom for cinematics trailers.
Any other questions?
Yep.
Well, I've got one for you, Ryan.
Yeah, sure.
When it comes to cinematic trailers, what is the essence of the storytelling that you capture from the game, from the main game?
Essence of, okay, that's a good question. Okay, it depends. It depends on what genre is the game, and it depends on how the client want to express the trailer. Some clients would require us to propose, but some would say, no, I have a very clear vision of how I want to make this trailer. So for example, let's copy that trailers. So it depends on the clients. And if we have the freedom to play around with the storytelling, we love that. Normally we love that. We will come up with a few different storyboards. Yeah, we compare it internally and then we propose it to the client. So the client might choose one or two. Yeah, if we are lucky. Yeah. And most of our inspiration comes from the great AAA trailers out there. World of Warcraft, you know, the Ubisoft, the Assassin's Creed, League of Legends. So those are the great inspiration for us to work on cinematics trailers. Yeah.
Right. Okay, looks like Ryan did a fantastic job. You have no more questions. How about a big hand for Ryan, everybody?